I'm sure you prepared with a report on especially the school uniforms and the status of NEC payments. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, honorable members, for this opportunity to respond to issues, matters, education. Mr. Speaker, we have a report on the policy on school uniforms that I wish to present. And Mr. Speaker, I want to start by stating that the Ministry of Education has a policy framework in place to ensure that school uniforms are not prohibitively expensive, and by a circular dated 30th of May 2023, regional and county directors of education were directed to, one, ensure the stoppage of practices where school uniforms are stocked within schools and parents compelled to buy them, or where principals or heads of institutions direct parents to purchase uniforms from specific or specified dealers. Number two, they were also directed to note and process the names of non-compliant schools for necessary action within the provisions of the law. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has also issued a directive or directives to school principals to the following effect. One, that no school shall direct parents to any particular outlet for the purpose of purchasing uniforms. And two, no school will stock any uniforms and boarding-related items whatsoever. The ministry, Mr. Speaker, has also directed heads of institutions not to deny learners admission on the basis of lack of uniforms. This position, Mr. Speaker, was also supported through a directive issued by His Excellency the President in January of this year. Mr. Speaker, the matter of the prohibitive costs of school uniforms was also captured in the report of the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform. The Working Party noted that school uniforms are expensive for parents because school administrators collude with suppliers and force parents to purchase from specific suppliers identified by the school administration. Consequently, the Working Party recommended that the Ministry of Education should provide guidelines to regulate and regularize the question of school uniforms in basic education institutions. Presently, school uniforms are determined by the boards of management of those institutions in consultation with parents' associations of those schools. This is in accordance with Regulation 67 of the Basic Education Regulations. Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House that at present, the ministry is working on the Presidential Directive of January this year to review the pricing of school uniforms in public schools in consultation with stakeholders. This review, which is ongoing, will drastically reduce the financial burden on parents. It will also eliminate wasteful variations in design and color. It will ensure quality, fairness, and competition in supply, and also advance the progressive realization of the constitutional right to free and compulsory basic education provided for under Article 53(1)(b) of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the review that is ongoing requires us to consider and balance various factors, such as the need for standardization vis-a-vis the role of school uniforms as a unique identifier and marks of school traditions and history. The review is due to complete its work by July of this year, after which we shall issue as a ministry policy guidelines on school uniforms across the country. I submit.
Honorable Speaker, you know I've been very keen on this particular matter of the policy around school uniforms. And I have been that keen on them because I am very passionate on access to education for millions of our children. And what the CS is telling us is what we have heard before. CS, we have heard this story over and over again. We are simply tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. Circulars, what the CS is telling us is that there was a circular dated 30th May 2023, saying the things that are happening today. What I expected the CS to tell us, and I know he has a retinue of education sector amendments that they were working on, and I wish the chair of the education committee was here to tell us where they are on it, is if teachers and those who are managing our schools are not adhering to your circulars. Because your circulars have just become pieces of paper that you send to schools. Nobody cares, nobody bothers to implement what you send to schools. As your circulars are being ignored, parents are being punished. Children are suffering at home because they cannot access schools, because they don't have uniform. Honorable Speaker, Honorable CS, it took none other than His Excellency the President, January this year, to issue a directive which again was not being followed through by your officers in the ministry. And I'm saying this here because what I would have expected to hear from you and the ministry today is, since you have circulars, you have guidelines. The Teacher Service Commission, as much as it may be an independent constitutional commission, you have an oversight role over this commission. What is it that you are doing to ensure that you take action against teachers who do not adhere to your guidelines? They don't follow the regulations that you have put in place around school uniforms. Because as we speak, CS, even go to your own village, the schools in your constituency, in your village, you will discover 2 or 3 things. One, parents are still buying uniforms in schools against your guidelines. 2, parents are still being directed where to go and buy uniforms if they are not being sold in the school. 3, at the time grade 10s were reporting to schools, vendors had set up shops in schools. When did our school CS stop being institutions of learning and became shops for uniforms? Because all that teachers are doing now is congregating vendors to come and sell those uniforms in school. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, that I would have expected the CS to address, and the ministry is not personal on the CS, is a ministry, and that is why we sought policy guidelines. Grade 1 to grade 6 uniform. You are in a primary school called Gesharani Primary School in Kekambura village, where I come from. Grade 7, 8, 9. That child is still in Gesharani Primary School in the same village called Kekambura in Kikuyu constituency. Why do we need to change uniform? Because we are subjecting parents and these children. First, we are traumatizing children those who cannot afford uniform are being harassed every day they go to school because they have not changed their uniform from the primary school to the JSS uniform. Why is it important for us to change uniform at JSS? And I thought we were to make education accessible in line with Article 43 of our Constitution to every child in this country, whether you have means or you do not have CS. I do not see that coming from the ministry at all. No policy guidance, no corrective action when the teachers don't follow your circulars. Now, CS, what you have done, you have come back to remind us that they are circulars. So if you have circulars and they are not being followed, then what are you people doing in the ministry? Where is TSC? I wish you would have told us, I have legislative proposals that I want to bring to you to criminalize any teacher who sends away a child on account of not having school uniform away from school. When the president issued this directive in January this year, I had not less than 100 SMSs CS. Maybe because you people are very comfortable in posh offices here in Nairobi, you do not know what is going on the ground. These members of parliament have to deal with those issues every day. They are the ones who are sponsoring students using NGCDF bursary. You pay school fees, the children cannot get to grade 10 because a teacher somewhere is now the Lord of Lords and the Alpha and Omega in a school and sends the child home. These parents cannot access your offices. So unless you either criminalize or you tell us what is it that you are doing to make sure that there is recourse for teachers who do not follow circulars. But it doesn't help us to come and tell us there was a circular of May 2023, another one January 2026. I am sure even now you will issue more circulars, but nobody will follow them. Honorable Speaker, I think the CS and the Ministry of Education must take this matter of school uniforms with the seriousness it deserves. You are simply being too casual with it, and you cannot afford to be casual with access to education for our children. And I may be agitated because this is very personal to me, Honorable Speaker.
I know, but
and to very many members.
I know, so you have
and it's not about me, it's about our children.
No, you're right. But
children of Kenya who see us as we wear ties and suits in town. There are children today who cannot access school. There are children today who have been chased home. They are opening school next week. I am certain if you and your PSs took time to go to these schools, you will go and discover there are children who have been chased away because of uniform, because of lunch. Children don't go to school to eat. And if they are going, they have to eat, yes. But nobody should send away a child out of school because they have not paid for a lunch program. There are circulars on lunch program, but who is following them? Who is following these circulars? These members will tell you in all their constituencies. I'm not talking about Kikuyu constituency. In fact, Kikuyu constituency, I'll tell you what about CS. I take it so personally that if I get a case, I go to the school myself. But how many of us can afford that? I have that rare privilege because my constituency is 10 minutes away from this house. Honorable Gesairo cannot be going to Kisii, to Nyamira, every other day when he gets calls, when he gets texts here from parents, oh, my child has been sent home because of lunch. The best he can do is to send M-Pesa to the parent to pay lunch. But these members cannot afford to pay lunch for every student. We have a school feeding program again. This school feeding program is the headquarters of corruption in the Ministry of Education. And I say that without blinking an eyelid. I know, Honorable Speaker, I will get to it. You know, there are people who are in that office before who stole relief food in their earlier life.
You're doing so well. I just
not that one.
Order. You're doing so well. I just wanted to lose out of
Honorable Speaker.
the uniform issue.
Honorable Speaker, I said this is very personal to me. I wish the CS will tell this House, without being casual about this matter, what are we going to do to address this problem? Because it is a live problem, and it is there. I see in the UK and in other countries, Honorable Speaker, when you move from primary school to junior secondary, all you need is a badge on your coat lapel or on your school sweater or a change of tie. Yeah, you have a striped tie or a plain tie. When you get to JSS, you get a striped tie to distinguish you from those in primary school. But why are you having to subject? When I read this statement by the CS, I see no allusion to that. CS, the people who have prepared this statement for you, are doing you a great disservice.
Thank you.
Very great disservice. Because you are not addressing the issues that we want to be addressed.
CS, in summary, to respond to the Honorable, the summary is this, is asking, has the ministry lost control of school heads and school principals? Can't you do anything about it? You write them down, they're going to have a couple of them coming. Yeah, reacting to this uniform. And members, please, the order. The CS has 7 questions to answer. So interventions next are going to be purely on the school uniform, nothing more. So will you have the Honorable Martin Peters Owino? The Honorable Muchomba. Yes. You just walked in, and these guys the MPs have already been queuing, so you have to just wait for your time.
Thank you.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CS, this thing is as passionate to all of us as it is to the majority leader. In fact, the enforcement of uniform in our school is more traumatizing to our children than it does good. And we wanted the ministry to think out of the box. You go to these countries. We went in Angola last time. The only thing they have for students to identify themselves is just a simple overall, just overcoat. That's it. You go to Denmark, France, USA, Canada, there's no uniform. So why should we subject our children to that trauma, to intimidation? So what we want from you, because we have had this even last time, Mr. Speaker, when directives are given, circulars are written, but there's nobody to implement them. There's no penalty. So that report really does not do us good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madenge.
Honorable Speaker, thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, the CS gave a directive that children who had finished grade 9 report to the schools where they were called or the nearest schools and go to school with the uniform they were using in grade 9 for grade 10. 2 weeks later, the head teachers sent away those kids. And we want the Honorable CS, Honorable Speaker, not to just come and lead us statements, because the figures and the facts from these members of Parliament, we can name the schools, each one, on condition that then the CS commits on this floor, on the floor of this house, that then the responsible principals start suspended. Because we cannot continue having programs where we get answers in the house, but mambo kwa ground ni tofauti. Hawa ndio wanafanya tuambiwe tusikize ground.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, the schools that have been correcting fees for uniforms, I want the CS to tell us when the ministry auditors ever audited the money corrected for school fees and also for school feeding, lunch feeding programs in the schools. Not one school in Nyeri Central Sub-County has been audited for the money they correct for school uniforms and the money they correct for the school feeding program. What are the auditors for, being paid for by the taxpayer?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. The member for Samburu, Honorable Pauline Langros. Please make it short so that we can get as many as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The issue of school uniform in our schools is really a very big problem. Parents and students are experiencing a lot of challenges because the prices they are given in school is really exaggerated. They cannot afford. And many students have missed learning because of this. Besides school uniform, Mr. Speaker, in Samburu, they are also asking parents, especially those students who are joining junior schools, to buy lockers and desks. So a parent is required to buy uniform, you are required to buy a desk, you are required to buy a locker. So it's really terrible. Parents cannot afford this. And it's really a big problem. Parents are running up and down, always during the beginning of the year because of these challenges. So this, we need a lot of regulation on this. And also the ministry should not sit down just to write policies. These policies must be implemented. And they can only be implemented if there is someone who is down there to follow up. Because these things are happening in the eyes of the county directors who are seated in the counties. What are they doing not to follow up, the policies that are given? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Magarini.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The issue of uniforms is indeed terrible. I have several students who were sent away because of the uniforms upon the directive by the President. None, even as I speak, there are several of them who have not joined the school. Is there anything the ministry is doing to curb this kind of affair? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Muchomba.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. In the year 2023, Mr. Speaker, I had the privilege of bringing a motion in this House regarding school uniforms. We debated like we are doing here, and the House chair then gave a directive, and the directive was directly related to the Ministry of Education. Mr. Speaker, I come from Githunguri, and I can confirm that whatever directive was given by this House to the ministry, a circular was issued, but none is implemented. Even after we debated and we did what we're supposed to do as a House, the President gave another directive. I can confirm even the directive His Excellency the President gave was not taken seriously. So why are we here? Why is the minister here? For how long are we going to sit here in this House, get bashed by members of public that we are not debating matters that concerns them? We tackle an issue like this sensitive issue of school uniform, and the relevant ministries do not even implement. Mr. Speaker, I refer to a regional directors of education circular that was issued on the 30th of May 2023 regarding school uniform. Reference to the letter that was written concerning issues of competition on the purchase and sale of uniform. And this letter referred the minister to refer to all regional directors and all county directors of education that according to Basic Education Act number 14 of 2013, the Basic Education Regulations 2015, and other enabling legal instruments, parents are not supposed to purchase uniform from schools, canteens, and school shops. As you speak, Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, we have schools that we know they are still stocking uniforms in their school compounds. When did a teacher, a head teacher, a discipline master, or whoever employed by the government of Kenya under TSC becomes uniform vendor in the school compound?
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker, the minister is here, and I think he needs to take this issue very seriously. Personally, as a lawmaker, I feel very demotivated that I can bring a motion in this House 3 years down the line on what we deliberated, nothing has been implemented. Right. Now, unless the minister wants to confirm with us that he is not capable of following the law.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think we are addressing the right issue, but probably focusing on the wrong people. I think it is up to this House to decide whether in this country we should have school uniforms, because it is not mandatory in many jurisdictions. And if we insist that we must have school uniforms, then it is up to this House and the government in power to figure out how to make those uniforms affordable so that the requirement of having a uniform does not become a barrier for students to access education. It is not up to the ministry, it is up to this House and the government in power. So for me,
Order. Honorable Karoli, the reason this report was requested is pursuant to our role that you are saying we should discharge. That is why this report was requested.
I want to go further and say the statement that we should receive from the ministry is a report on a study on the merits and demerits of school uniforms or non-school uniforms in the educational system. That is what the ministry should present to this House so that we make a determination. And in my view, I don't think we need school uniforms. I don't think we do. But to go further, Honorable Speaker, recently there was a directive by the permanent secretary responsible for TVET that in TVET institutions at graduation time, the students should not wear gowns. A gown is what identifies the collective of the graduates and the pride of the occasion. I'm wondering whether there's a circular, whether there's a policy, or that was just a statement made out of half and which has no legal basis whatsoever. In any event, we are making the same mistake with respect to the books. We spend 10 billion a year on school books, yet a proper printing machine of 2 billion will give us the 10 billion books plus more. It is just lack of priority and a government that is not focused on efficiency and how to run affairs of the public. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you. The member for Loima.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, The issue of uniform has become a systemic problem in Kenya and requires very serious scrutiny. Honorable Speaker, the directive that was given in January by His Excellency the President, that all the students who are joining grade 10 must report to schools whether they have uniform or not, and whether they have shoes or not. That directive has not been followed, and the CS is telling us that he has written several memos to schools. Now my question is there a way the Ministry of Education is enforcing whatever memos they write to institutions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Singanga.
Thank you, Honorable
Members,
Speaker.
I'm just following intervention the way they are. You know, I never skip, personally. I never skip anybody. So what I'm doing is that I'm following the intervention list the way it is. I've not skipped anyone so far.
Yeah.
Honorable Singanga, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The issue at hand today is very pertinent to all of us. And Honorable Speaker, I think what we need to do, if the Ministry of Education cannot come up even with the data of schools that are still not following the memo the Cabinet Secretary raised, the members who sit in this House deal with these schools day in, day out, both the primary school and the secondary school, so we know them very well. So whatever that is being raised here, we are talking out of experience, and out of that we are talking to these parents every day. What I don't understand, Honorable Speaker, where are the inspectors who used to visit the schools when we were young? They would visit the school and come find out what was going on in schools. And they will find out whether whatever they implemented was still going on, because we don't see those inspectors or quality assurance members or inspectors who used to come and inspect the schools to make sure everything is running. As we speak right now, Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you, even in day schools, for those ones who move from grade 9 to 10, they are at home. It is only parents. And if they don't have that data, the ministry can request the members of parliament. They can provide for that data. They know all those schools that are not adhering, or those schools that are sending the children to be at home. Even when we open in a week's time, those ones who don't have uniform, I want to tell you, they will not report to those schools. That one I can tell you. And it is, if they cannot be able to do it themselves, we'll help them do it, because children, we cannot allow children to continue being at home because of school uniform. It has never been hard. It is better even they go with home clothes to school. Thank you.
Honorable Mboko. Please make it a minute so that we finish with this question.
Honorable Speaker, we cannot reduce this House to just an oversighting group of people. And therefore, I propose that I want to agree with the mover of this matter that the fourth sustainable development goal was about access to education, and that's prime. So if school uniform is hindering access, then we have to deal with it. It is not enough to indicate that principals and teachers are not implementing. That's weak. This is Parliament. Parliament must make policy today. I want to go with the words of one honorable spoke here, that this is how uniform shall be handled. And the minister must now bring an answer to us, that this is how he's going to answer the school uniform problem. Either it's going to free market and teachers are not involved in it instead of blaming the teachers, and this was done before, or we are doing away with uniform after all. Why are we having uniform? Legislators, let's not be weak. We must make a decision that will make education accessible. And if school uniform is among the things hindering the SDG number 4, we deal with it. We don't go supervising, oh, this school, that school, this. No, that's myopic. So let's deal with the question, and the ministry should bring policy on how we are going to deal with uniform, either removing it, either making it standard uniform so that it's not expensive and hindering access to education. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I'll have two more members, Honorable Gisairo, then the Honorable Member for Busia,